National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, unveils Green Book, a database for drug information access. Federal Executive Council makes efforts to reduce the rising cost of living and doing business in the country. Plus, oil prices edge higher on OPEC demand estimate, while coal hits U.S. output. And on the conversation this morning, alongside updates from Day 3 of the ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, we have a serial entrepreneur from Nairobi, Kenya, to take us through the importance of manpower development, the challenges faced in utilizing manpower efficiently, and strategies to overcoming them. Ebuka Anichebe, good to have you join us this morning. The program is Business Express, and we're going to bring in you updates of happenings around the world of business. And our conversation segment, we have a serial entrepreneur joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. Mr. Anichebe, good to have you join us on Business Express.
Nice to be here. Thank you. Good morning.
Good. Well, we continue with the news that the Federal Executive Council has directed various committees of the Presidential Council on Industrial Revitalization to hasten up conclusion and recommendations that will facilitate reduction in the rising cost of living and doing business in the country. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports that this is one of the major issues that received attention of the Council during its meeting this Wednesday or last Wednesday.
We have been mandated and charged to come up with the resolution from those committees as quickly as possible. And when this is implemented, we expect to see more creation of jobs, drop in prices of goods and services, and a total revival of the economy. And we assured the effect that we will do all that is necessary to come up with the resolution as quickly as possible so that Nigerians can begin to enjoy the shared prosperity and the renewed hope agenda in 2024.
Many entities have decided to withdraw, and some of the local manufacturers in Nigeria are struggling. Mr. President's intent is that we begin to take steps to enable the local manufacturers to survive, to thrive, and to deliver the basic commodities that are key to saving their lives.
We have things that we need to do now so that Nigerians can begin to get succor from high prices of drugs and medical consumables. Those we're moving so quickly on. There's also the medium-term solution and long-term solution to protecting a manufacturing base.
The federal government today approved the group life assurance for all federal government staff as submitted by the head of service.
The president has given us the marching order and all the support that the security agencies needed to end this thing. We want to call in the people to please manage kidnapping situation very intelligently and very quietly, because talking too much about it, more especially raising funds through the public media is not productive at all.
Council agreed and directed that the agreement that had been signed already should be taken further by mandating, authorizing the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to prepare a bill along this line to take to the National Assembly for ratification.
And the National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has introduced the NAFDAC Green Book, a comprehensive database of registered drugs, in a significant move towards transparency of drug information in Nigeria. The agency announced that the Green Book is now available for download on device and app stores, allowing the public easy access to crucial drug information. Now, by 2050, estimates indicate that the global economy will double in size and will serve a population of more than 10 billion people. In this context, improving energy efficiency is critical to delivering an affordable, secure, and climate-aligned future. What companies and governments can do to promote economic growth with less energy featured prominently at the ongoing World Economic Forum. Charles Asfa has more on that.
A long-term strategy for climate, nature, and energy is one of the core themes being discussed at the ongoing World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos. Leaders gathered at the forum are discussing how to develop a long-term systematic approach to achieve the objective of a carbon-neutral and nature-positive world by 2050 through the provision of affordable, secure, and inclusive access to energy, food, and water. Since its launch in 2020, it has raised almost $43 million to support early-stage entrepreneurs with solutions to critical challenges such as fresh water shortages, ocean degradation, deforestation, as well as biodiversity loss. These include protecting more than 56 million hectares of national habitats and the treatment of more than 350 million liters of wastewater. Professionals at the ongoing World Economic Forum say setting the world on a path to reaching climate targets while enabling growth and fostering energy, food, and water security requires a rapid transition away from fossil fuels to renewables, improving energy efficiency, and cutting all greenhouse gas emissions.
So what do we need to do now? There should be standards, first of all, set and then monitored and implemented.
Over the past 50 years, the climate crisis has caused more than 2 million deaths and $4.3 trillion in economic losses, according to the United Nations, as well as the destruction of vital natural ecosystems. It is only going to get more intense and is having an impact on access to the most vital of human resources, that is food and water. Charles Alpha.
And now to the matter at hand. As conversations continue in Day 3 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, manpower development and utilization no doubt are indispensable components of the growth and success of any economy, and the ability to attract, train and retrain the right talent while optimizing their skills is key in today's competitive business landscape. Our discussion segment will shed light on the importance of manpower development, the challenges faced in utilizing manpower efficiently, and strategies to overcoming them. And our guest is Ebuka Anichibe, whom we have met earlier. He is a serial entrepreneur and he joins us via Zoom from Nairobi, Kenya. Mr. Anichibe, welcome to Business Express once more. Okay, I don't seem to hear your response. Can you unmute your device? Let me get to hear you clearly.
I think I can hear you quite clearly. And can you hear me?
Okay, great. I can also hear you. Well, ongoing conversations in Davos, the meeting has progressed to day 3. We had Vice President, who is leading Nigeria's delegation, talk about the population strength of Nigeria as it is, and some issues that have arisen from such conversations is the fact that yes, Nigeria has got a huge population. We're talking about almost 220 million. Yes, some have said, what is the purchasing power of this particular population? What are the skills set that should be efficiently deployed in today's world? This is as government conclude plans in training and deploying about 14,000 artisans to the UAE to work. We know the UAE is one environment that is using a whole lot of technology to that process, and the conversations ongoing at the World Economic Forum is talking about AI and the future, or the present and future of jobs. How ready are we? What's your opinion on this plan and what is happening?
Well, I think the plans are still underway by the federal government to skill up artisans here in Nigeria in order to fulfill what you just mentioned about the sending out 14,000 of our citizens to the UAE for blue-collar work. Of recent, let me point out that besides the UAE, many other organizations, many other countries like the UK, Ireland, Denmark, I know, Estonia also, any of these countries have come up with new visa regimes, including Canada, in order to attract blue-collar workers from Nigeria over to their countries. And not just Nigeria, from Africa in general over to their countries. What has been happening since what we call today the Japa syndrome has been largely financed and funded by citizens themselves looking for greener pastures. But now the government is stepping in and saying, oh, there's something we can do about this. We can skill up our artisans and get them to actually go out there and bring back revenue to by means of remittances, right, to the people back at home. That's something to be looked into. But where the government needs to focus more attention on is ensuring that these artisans who they intend to train are well certified with certificates that are relevant in the countries that they're going to. And so that there has to be collaboration between certifying bodies over in the West and the trainers here in Nigeria to ensure that there's a handshake. Otherwise, you get there and have to start all over again because you're just not fit for purpose.
Okay, the last time we spoke, I had you in the studio, and today you are in Nairobi. Hope you have not jackpot. That's by the way. Now the issue is, yes, we need to get our artisans not just skilled to the skills of today, but also get them certified. Now, what do you think the government can also do to ensure collaboration, a better handshake between public and the private sector to ensure this? You are there, good number of Nigerians are there, they know the requirements, they know how these environments work. How can you bring in your experience in-house here as part of the preparations to get the right skills out exported? And what would be the benefit of state? Usually this is done at informal level. Now that it's been brought to the formal level, what would that add to Nigeria's economy?
Well, remittances since 2020 has increased. I mean, remittances 2020 was higher than our oil revenue, and so that's a good step, right? It shows that there are people outside there, Nigerians in diaspora, bringing in revenue back to the people back home. Beyond that, I think for any initiative to actually see the light of day and be seen to really speak to the issues, there has to be engagement. There has to be engagement with the private sector to find out exactly what skill gaps are there and how can we fulfill the skill gaps. So say, for example, it's no big secret that nurses are a huge market, especially in the Asian West. And it's clear, I mean, there's a lot of older people over in the West.
Yeah, nurses and caregivers.
And caregivers. And so the question then would be, if this is a market, how big is the market? And if we understand exactly how large that market is, what is the criteria of be able to seamlessly get into those markets, right? And once we understand that, then we can go back and say, well, this is where we've identified as in the skill gaps. We can then give out not just the government grants, which the government already has for loans, for student loans, but beyond student loans. If we realize this is a huge market, we can send our people out there and they can be bringing out investments. Just like how it's happening in Philippines, for example. In Philippines, you have several schools intentionally set up to train their people for export. And so you go to a place like Dubai, you will see a lot of Filipinos working there, simply because the government has that as a strategy. Should Nigeria choose to borrow a leaf, then what we're going to be looking at is the right people, right? Not just the right people, but from the private sector, the right spaces that we should be trading on, and filling companies here in Nigeria, back home in Nigeria, that already have that as a skill. We can fund them to absorb more people and upskill them. So beyond just nurses, we're talking about plumbers, we're talking about electricians, we're talking about welders, right? But you need to know which countries have the requirements for these skills and what certifications they would need to see, and then reverse engineer that back home. And once we can do that, over the next 2 years, we should start seeing results.
Okay, great. Before we look into that, or before that gets to happen, since the suggestions that's coming from you, more so that you've mentioned the case study of the Philippines. I've actually seen some of them in the UAE, a good number of them offering skills and actually being paid well, good premium for whatever services they offer. Before we get to have separate schools intentionally established to train people on such skills, we have existing vocational training institutions in Nigeria. Don't you think our education curricula can actually be tilted towards that way a bit? Would that serve?
Oh, most definitely. Whether it's the colleges of education, whether it's our universities, or even the ITF, Industrial Training Fund, special attention now has to be given to ensure that these skills that have been identified are being provided for. The right facilitators, right lecturers have gone through what we call a train-the-trainer approach, right? So that they are competent. Because when you talk about the Filipinos coming to Dubai, they're also there with you in Abuja. I know a couple of my friends who hire Filipinos and pay them up to $1,000 every month, right? So it's spread. Nigerians, I've met a Nigerian lady in Dubai, and she told me, I met her through her boss, who was a minister, and he said, this has been his best staff ever. And I said, what does she do for you? He said, well, that she's not just a nanny to the children, she also tutors the children. And so she lives in the house, she teaches the children and is a nanny to the children, and they've worked for 4 years, and she's the most excellent staff he's ever had to employ. And that got me thinking, here's a lady earning somewhat upwards of $2,500, right, working as a nanny, and she has everything paid for. And I was thinking back home, I know nannies earn maybe 40 to 50,000 naira. Is there a way that we can actually upskill our people, teach them more? And there's schools for this. We don't have to go setting up new schools. What you need to do is fund more of the schools that are already in existence, right? And give them a new curriculum. Let's face it, the curriculum that most of our courses currently have in Nigeria are outdated. And that's why you see so many graduates come out and they know next to nothing. And so our curriculum is long overdue for a revamp. I'm talking about across both polytechnics, colleges of education, as well as our universities. And so the government has tasked the Industrial Training Fund to somehow train 20 million people over the next 5 years in skill acquisition and upskilling our artisans. I don't know how many offices the ITF has, but I'm willing to bet it would be next to impossible without a proper handshake amongst the different government organizations and universities and learning organizations we have in Nigeria. And so there has to be a workshop of some sort so that TET Fund is involved in this, right, in order to provide funding to universities and commissions, and as well as polytechnics, to ensure that the people that actually have these skill sets can actually be well paid in order to provide this learning to everybody. And then also we should go beyond just providing these skills in physical classes. They probably should be online classes. I have to go on the website of the ITF. They have a special link for this skill acquisition program. Unfortunately, that hasn't yet been brought yet online. There's still a lot of work to be done. But I like from what I saw, the skeletal work that's been done. I like the handshake between not just the artisans, but also people that provide these services to artisans, people that train these artisans. And if that collaboration can be done across board in all 36 states, including the MCT, hopefully there should be some sort of traction in the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richebe. One last question before I let you go. Yes, part of conversations at the ongoing World Economic Forum is talking about artificial intelligence, talking about technology being brought into the workspace. How ready, how prepared is Nigeria? More so that there is an attempt to shift from emphasis on certificates, which is obtainable in Nigeria's workspace today, to skills, or what people will say in a local parlance, Sabi ticket. How can we get to actualize this within the shortest possible time so we get to move with the trends, the global trends?
Okay, so I'm going to be as frank as possible. I think Nigeria has, for a long time, been installed with our paper, especially in our ministries, especially in our government ministries, with the, carrying files and that. The world moved from that 20 years ago, and we're still stuck there today. This is a good opportunity for us to leapfrog, all of the e-governance processes which somehow for the last 20 years we've missed out on, and start to realize that with artificial intelligence, it's mostly white-collar jobs that are at risk, if you think about it. The skilled artisans, you can't use AI to fix your fridge if it goes broken. You can't use artificial intelligence as a plumber. However, if it comes to getting an accountant, getting a doctor's opinion, there are artificial intelligence tools for that. Even when it comes to acting, right? There are artificial intelligence tools for that. When it comes to teaching, training, there are artificial intelligence tools that are already been built for that. So what I think we should be doing is, again, this goes back to understanding where the skill gaps are. The skill gaps for artificial intelligence is global because this is a new field. Can we teach on that? I don't think we have as many skilled people that can actually teach on this. However, where we can even start from is the basics. Understanding how to use artificial intelligence to do customer service. Understand how to use artificial intelligence to use data. Understand how to use artificial intelligence to even do memos, because a lot of what we do in the government is about memos. Proposal writing, business writing. Again, all of these can easily be outsourced to an AI app. And so if we can teach our people on this, we can save ourselves a lot of stress.
That to also diffuse the fact that a lot of Nigerians think that technology, the new move, will take away jobs. Thank you very much, Ebuka and Ichebe, for your contributions at this point in time.
Thank you.
Now gold near 5-week low as rate cut optimism tapers. Let's now see how other commodities are trading around the world. Now we understand European stocks are mixed this morning. Neka, what is happening? Give us the figures at this time.
Hello and welcome to the global market segment. Most Asian stocks fell this Thursday, led by China, after strong U.S. retail sales data cast fresh doubt on the likelihood of a Federal Reserve rate cut in March. The Shanghai Composite sank 1.22%. The Nikkei 225 also depreciated by 0.03%, while in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index is up by 0.69%. Stock futures were little changed early Thursday morning after the Dow Jones Industrial Average notched a third straight losing day. Dow futures were down by 10 basis points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average depreciated by 0.03%. S&P 500 added 0.01%, and the Nasdaq Composite is up by 0.06%. And now European markets are heading for a mixed open Thursday as investors continue to monitor news and comments from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The UK FTSE 100 is expected to open 3 points higher. Germany's DAX up 20 points and France's CAC 40 down 7 points at 7,318. And here in Africa, stocks opened in mixed territory. At the moment, South Africa's benchmark index is topping 0.68%. Namibia's overall index is marginally negative, while figures are still being expected from the other stocks. And that's Global Markets Update this Thursday morning. It's back to Benny.
Thank you, Neka, for those figures. And this is where we end Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Business Express returns with a fresh edition tomorrow at 3 p.m. Keep a date with us.